Okay. Good evening, guys. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Hi, Kapoors. Uh, okay. All right. Good evening to everyone. Anna, welcome back. And I'm not sure if you're expecting more people. Anna. So, uh, so should we wait or like should we start? Like, what should we do? Completely up to you. So, shall we start? Huh? So we can start because there are a lot of things to cover out. Anna. So just in case if somebody would be joining, so we'll talk about few things here and there. Anna. Chalo, nice, great. Yeah, we'll definitely will go along. Okay. What's the platform that I'm using? Didn't get your question. Platform as in like what platform? Like you're talking about the system? Are you talking about the system? Oh, for JavaScript, I for text editor, I'm working on VS Code. Yeah, it's uploaded on the playlist. So if you'll go and check the YouTube playlist, so you'll get it out there. So if you'll do that, you'll get it. Okay. I hope Kana would have told you about the YouTube playlist. So please tell again how to execute JS code. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll cover out. Didn't kind of tell you about the playlist? I'm pretty sure he might have. He didn't. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Huh? So I'll just open that up so that you'll be able to see that. Uh, just 1 second. Channel this. So let me show you over the screen. And I hope the screen is visible. Anna. So, or rather, let me go to the playlist part. And from here, you can find out full stack development. So I'll give you the playlist. Voila. Here you'll find out both the playlist, just in case you want to learn data science. So you'll get the videos for data science as well. And if you're interested in full stack, you'll get all the videos for full stack as well. Right? So yeah, so shall we start? Wait, I have a habit of going through what we have covered out, and then we'll discuss few things afterwards. So shall we do that? Let's quickly take a quick recap. for the things that we have done, and then we'll move ahead. Okay. Okay. Oh, but for the recap wala part, we have not done the comments and stuff, right? Ooh, now I feel bad. Okay. Uh, First of all, let's start with where we left off. है ना? So the very first thing that we did was to create this folder, and inside this folder we have created index.html. Now pay attention, because few of the people were asking how was I rendering the JavaScript wala part. है ना? So JavaScript is very simple. You do not need to install anything for that, because I told you yesterday as well when I was starting with JavaScript. I said JavaScript is a language of the browser, right? So nothing is actually required. It's same like as that of HTML, right? You didn't install anything, you didn't download anything, right? You're just writing something and putting that as the extension as .html, and you'd see that your computer would understand, and it will start to render that up. Same is the case with JavaScript as well, right? So in case of JavaScript, what happens is that if you want to execute something in JavaScript, there are two ways you can go around and execute the same thing. First of all, let me go around and open this up on live server. And I'm just going to copy this out from here. I'm just going to close this tab and open this tab upon Chrome. Which website? Which website? Be very specific on the questions. Yeah, it's live server, right? So this is, you could see that it's a live server. So now here, either I can first step, either what you need to do, first of all, if you want to render anything with JavaScript as attached, so what you need to do, you need to create a HTML, and at the end you can come here and just write a tag or an element, HTML element, which is called a script tag, right? And in between of script tag, whatever I'll be writing, if let's suppose if I'm writing console.log, and I just come here and say hello world. So what it's going to do, whatever it's going to find in between of the script tag, it will start to execute this, right? But we had a discussion in yesterday's class as well, that we as developer have a habit of keeping everything in a clean hands, right? So we keep CSS on a different file, and we keep JavaScript on different file, and HTML on different file, and then we link these files together inside the HTML file, right? So even if I'd be having something of a CSS file, what would I do? I would just come here, write something like link, and this would be the link for the style sheet that I'd be creating, and I'm just going to give the link of that file wherever that file is going to be, right? Same is the case with JavaScript as well. In case of JavaScript, what do? We write a script tag. So this is one way of writing anything if you want, right? How to comment on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So in case of if you're working on the HTML, so in case of HTML, this is how you can do that. So you just come here, it's a less than sign, then put exclamation, and yeah, either you could just do control and the forward slash. That would give you everything. I also use the same thing. So if you want, you can do that. In case of if you're working on what you call CSS, double slash would work, right? Double slash would work. Yeah, in VS Code, it would definitely do in VS Code, right? So this is one way that write something in between of the tag, but it's old school. We don't work like this anymore. So what do? In the script tag, we give an attribute called as source. So it will start reading from a file, and you can mention wherever that file is. So my file is inside this folder, which is JavaScript. And inside this, I have meme.js. So now if I'll save, will start to look into this file, and whatever I'm trying to console out here, it will give you the console, right? So there were a few things that we had a look on. Let's quickly take a quick recap for the things that we have done. We started on with how to declare a variable. So in order to declare a variable, I said that you have three ways of declaring a variable: either use let, or rather I should say, either use var, either use let, or either use const. right? So either of the three things you can go around and use, right? So in this case, what would happen is that in case of var, it will have a very global scope, right? Uh, and then in case of let, it would have a block level scope. Huh? Previous sessions ki videos, you can find it out on the playlist that I've just like given up here. So this is the link. So I'm just going to copy this out. Somebody na keep it very handy, because sometimes a lot of people would be asking me out. Yeah. Oh, great. So I see a lot of people giving the, oh, great. Okay, great. What? JavaScript throw an error because HTML and CSS does not what? Does not what? Why would it throw you an error? No, it's not like that. Okay, so we were talking about var, let, and const. So var had a very global scope. Let has a very block level scope. Const has also a block level scope, but you don't have the tendency of changing this very frequently, right? Then we started on with very basic things, right? For example, what would be the basic data types? And in this case, we had a look on number, string, boolean, null, and undefined, right? And these were the few things that we had to look on, and we said that either it could give you a number. This number could be anything. It could be a floating point number. It could be an integer point number. It could be anything for that matter, but it would be just be a number. There is nothing of another thing. Exception handling is definitely there in JavaScript. Yes, it's there. It's there. It is. Then we had to look on strings, how you define strings. Either it's same like Python, either give it in double quotes or single quotes. It's just going to assume it as string. Then we said Boolean. In case of Boolean, it could be either true or false. But in case of null, when you try to type, check the type by using something called as type of, it will give you, bogus by saying that it's going to be an object. So if you'll just come here and type type of null, this type of null, it's going to return you with an object. So we said that it's a bogus, and it's a mistake from the JavaScript side, right? And then we said we also have something called as undefined. So we can typically define something as undefined as well. That is also something that we can do. Right. Then after that, we started to look on variables, and we said that how you're going to declare a variable. You can write either of the three things, let, var, and const. So you can just say var, let's say with the name of the variable and the value of the variable that you want to keep inside, right? All right. Next, we had to look on few of the string methods. So if you remember, I told you about few string methods. Now these string methods are very handy. So one of the property that we have length. So if you have a string and let's suppose name is a, so you can just come here and type a dot length. It will give you the length of this string. Then we had a dot to uppercase, and we had also had to look on a dot to lowercase. What else did we do? I guess we had a look on substring, I guess. So there is a something of sub str which takes a start and the end, right? And we also had to look on the split, right? We had to look on split. So in case of split, if you want to give the split, and you can just mention the bases, on the basis you want to go around and split, right? That was an array. That was an array, not out here. Yeah, you can use sort, you can use pretty much anything that you want, right? Then we started to discuss on arrays, and in case of arrays, I told you that in arrays, it's a collection of different data types. In case of JavaScript, it's going to be different data types. So if you want to like collect all these data types, you can go around and do that. And we also had to look on few of the methods. And what were the methods of the array? That if you want to put something, so you can just write push. You can also write something as pop. And if you want to, put something in the front, you can do something called as unshift. And if you want to go around and check if something is an array or not, you can just say array dot is array, and you can pass the array that you have, and it will just give you a true or the false kind of like a value telling that whether it's an array or not. And you can also find the index. I'm not sure if I told you about this, but there is something called as index of. And if you pass on with any of the value, let's suppose the way I created let's say fruits. So if I'm just going to pass oranges, it will give me the index of this particular value, and it will just give you the index of that particular value, right? And then we started on to talk with objects. And in the case of objects, we said that it's a denotion wherein we just try to give a key and a value, kind of like a situation, right? And this key value you can just create, and you can access all of these value by using a dot operator. So dot operator, so you can go around and access any values that you want. Then in the end, we started to have a look on array of objects. Array of objects. And in array of objects, we said that you will have array of objects something like this. So this would be, let's say, object one, comma, object two, comma, object three, and so on and so forth. You can go around and create a number of objects that you want. So I'm just going to put a 3 dots out here, right? So this was the few things that we had to look on, and then we started to discuss on something called as loops. And in this loops, you could say that I gave you an example for a for loop, for a while loop, for an array loop, and for a for off loop, right? So anything that you want to ask as of now, just give me your queries or give me a yes. We'll move ahead with the session quickly. We'll not waste time because there are a lot of things to cover out today. Say again. Dot operator. Dot operator made, so we didn't do anything. We'll come back to this dot operator, hai na? In a little second when we'll do something. We'll come back to this dot operator. I'll give you a little handsome idea about that. Guys, we will be starting on with DOM in a little second. Okay? So I'll highly recommend that you don't lose your focus, and today's session is going to be very important. Okay? Very, very important. Like this and tomorrow's session is going to be the most important on JavaScript. And the last wala the 4th day that we'll be having, that will be the most interesting wala stuff, right? So we'll work on a lot of servers, we'll deploy, well, not deploy, but we'll integrate a lot of stuff and stuff like that. Yeah. So today and tomorrow's session, we'll be working on HTML plus JavaScript, and we'll do a lot of things. So we'll start with DOM today. And most probably, I'm thinking of to give you a little, a deep knowledge about DOM. That is what I'll do. Don't worry. So I'll start with this session only. But there are a few things that I actually need to cover out. Now, let's start with conditionals. There are a few things that you need to know about conditionals. So in conditionals, we have few things. I'll just do conditionals and the functions, and then we'll start on. I'll do that. Discord channel ban gaya hai. You can DM me up. I am also on Discord. You can DM me. By before tomorrow's session, you would have a Discord channel already there. Okay? So if you'll get a doubt, I'm also going to share you out. If you want to DM me up on Instagram, you can DM me up on Instagram as well. And you can even DM me up on Discord. And most probably by tomorrow, you'll have a Discord channel where you can push your doubts. So remind me up. I'll give you both the handles. I'll give you both the handles at the end of the session, and you can text me or ping me up anywhere that you want. So that would be completely okay. So shall we start with conditionals then? Shall we start with conditionals? Ready? Now, in case of conditionals, when you talk about conditionals are very important at the time where you have to make a decision, right? So in case of conditionals, we have 3 things which we say. One is if, else, and there is something called as if else, or what we call it, else if. Sorry, else if. And also we have something called a switch, but we generally don't work on switches. Yeah, no, it's not elif. Elif is something like else if. So in this case, let's go around and try to do something like this. Let's say if I have a variable, let's say I'm just gonna call this const x is equals to 30, right? And I'll just come here, I'll just say if, right? So I need to make up a decision, right? I need to make up a decision. So I'll just say if x is equals to 10. Now in here, if you want to compare, you'll not just say is equals to, you'll just say double equals to, wherein you are trying to compare both the values, the value of x and the value which you have just provided, right? So you're saying if this value x is going to be 10, I'm just going to say console.log. I'm just going to say x is 10, let's say. Okay. Or I can just come here and I can just write something like else if, right? Now, else if I can just come here and say if x is less than 10, I could have this scenario as well, right? So I just ended up this. I said if x is equals to 10, I'm just going to say console.log x is 10. Else if x is less than 10, that means the value of x that I've given is either less than 10, right? So in this case, I'm just going to console log, sorry, I'm just gonna write console log. Why is this log not working? Console.log x is less than 10, let's say. Or either I can have a situation where I can just write else, and I can just going to say log what x is greater than 10. Let's try this out, right? So if you'll save this, you'll see x is greater than 10. Greater than 10. Oh, what am I writing? My keyboard is not working today. Greater than 10, right? What is console.log for? It's I believe we have talked about console.log, console.warn, console.error, alert. We have talked about all of these things the moment we started onto this part, JavaScript part. Guys, do you remember? We have talked about all of these things. We have talked about console.log, error, warning, console.warn if you want. So these are way of representing or way of displaying something into your console. So console.log is just for printing purposes. Generally, it's for printing purposes, right? So you can do that out here as well. Okay. So this is how. Now see, try and understand. In this case, the value is 30. So it will keep on placing 30 where you're passing this x. So you'll say 30 is equals to 10. Technically, logically, it's wrong. So it will not execute this statement. It will come to this statement, which is else if. Now it will say 30 is less than 10. And technically 30 is not less than 10. So it will skip this statement as well. So it will come to the else part and will start to print out with this, right? Similarly, if I just keep on this 10, save, it will just come here and say x is 10, right? Because 10 is equals to 10. This came out to be true. If the block that you're writing inside if else and if else, oh sorry, else if, in this particular case, if that block, this parenthesis comes out to be true, then only the block is going to execute. Else this block is not going to be executed. Okay, I just hope this makes sense. Like this is like basic programming, like basic programming, right? Now, in case of what you call this as, okay, if let's suppose if I keep this 10, right, and string 10, if I'll save this, you'll still find that x is 10. Can you see this? Can you see this? That even if I keep this as string 10, you still will find that this JavaScript is still going to run. And this is most important point. Sometimes you get some coding questions related to JavaScript. Hana? So that's what I'm doing. We are talking about conditionals only. Pradeep, we are discussing on conditionals only. So just keep focused out here. So it consists of if, else if, and switch case. We'll talk about switch cases, but generally we don't use it. So I'm not gonna go too much deep into switch cases. Somewhat brief, as in like more elaborated answer that you're asking me. Like I should take a more complicated question. You're saying, we can do that. So let's take a more complicated question, right? So let's say I want to create a voter system. Let's say I want to create a voter system wherein I have few conditions. Yeah, I'll do that. Don't worry. I have few conditions that if I'm talking about a male, this male is going to be at the scenario wherein he is applicable to vote if he is 21 years old. If it's 21 years old, and in case of female, she is only allowed to vote if she is only 18 years old. Let's make it this kind of like a situation. I hope the question is clear. So in my country, what could happen if, let's suppose if I have a country, and in my country, I'm going to create a voter system. In this voter system, what I'm going to do, if somebody is a male, right? If somebody is going to be a male, so what I'm going to do, if it's a male, I'm going to check that, whatever I'm passing, it's going to be 21 years old or stuff like that. Shall we do this? Shall we do this? Let's try and do this. Hai. Let's take a little second and let's try to do it. So I'm going to create two variables. I'm just going to say gender, Gender, and initially I'm just going to keep it as M, let's say. Okay, I'm just going to keep it M. And then I'll have const age, which I'm just going to keep, let's suppose, as of for now, let's keep it 90, right? I'll just come here. I'll just say if. Now see, try and understand how I'm creating this. First of all, I'll segregate both the parts. Either I'll have to figure out that if he or she is a male or a female, right? So first of all, I'll just come here. I'll just check the gender. I'll say if the gender comes out to be M, capital M. So in this case, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do completely different task. Right? I just hope this makes sense. So inside this block, I'm only going to write all the conditions for the gender part where it's going to be M. And else I'm going to write everything that is related to female. I hope this is making sense now. Is it making sense? So in this block, I'm going to write the condition for male. In this block, I'm going to write the condition for female, right? So I'll just come here and I'll say if the age is greater than or equal to 21, I'm just going to write console.log. I'm just going to write you can vote. Or if this is not the case, I'm just going to write log you cannot vote. You cannot vote. Similarly, in the else part as well, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to say if the age comes out to be greater than or equal to 18, I'm just going to say console.log you can vote, else you won't be able to vote. I'm just going to write console.log you cannot vote. You cannot vote. Right? So now if I'll save this, it's just going to say you can vote. But if I keep this as a female and I keep it 19, save. Oh, why does it say you can vote? Oh, let me keep it triple equals to. Save. You can vote greater than or equals to 18. Oh, I'm keeping it 19. Oh, so yeah, you would be able to vote. So let's keep it 16. So you cannot vote because it's 16, right? And in case of male, if I'm just keeping this as, let's say, give me any values for that matter. I'm getting confused in a second. So if I'm keeping it M and I'm just keeping it for, let's say, 20 years even, save, I'll not be able to vote because in case of male, the minimum value should be 21. But if I'm keeping this as female and I'm just going to keep it for age 20, save, I'll be able to vote. I hope this makes sense. No, it's not compulsory. See, live server is not compulsory. Just for my simplicity, I'm using live server, Pravan, right? So just for my simplicity, that the moment I save this, I should see the changes. That is the only reason. That's it. That's it. Right? So don't. Should I explain you this code for a little second? Should I explain you this code? Oh, this code is very simple. Very simple. See, yeah, it's very simple. See what I'm trying to do. Yeah, we can check for male. So if I keep this as male 20, it will say you cannot vote, right? Because for male 21 is the most basic reason. See what I'm trying to do, just try and understand it in this way, right? Just understand that. That is why I was saying that JavaScript is very important, because programming fundamentals is very so this is let's say that this is the start of my code. Now the moment I start enter into this code, I segregate my code. See, try and understand this. I'll tell you what triple equals do. I'll tell you. Just pay attention. Even if I don't keep this triple equals, it's still gonna work though. Save. It's still gonna work the exact same way, but there is something of a provision called as triple equals. We'll talk about that. So just pay attention out here. I'll tell you, just pay attention that how this code is getting executed. So the moment I start this code, I am going to segregate my problem into two different things. Either the person is a male or either the person is a female, right? So I'm going to segregate the problem something like this. Either it's going to be male, which is M, or either it's going to be female, which is F. right? So what have I done? I said if the gender is going to be M, if the gender is going to be M, in this case, I'm going to come inside this and going to check two conditions, whether the age property is greater than or equal to 21, or this condition is not going to fall, which is going to be the age is going to be less than 21, right? If this is the case, I'm going to print yes. If this is the case, I'm going to print no. Same is the case with female as well. I said I'm going to check if the age property is greater than or equals to 18. If this is the case, I'm going to print yes. And if this is not the case, wherein the age is less than 18, in this particular case, I'm just going to print no, right? This is the whole situation. So that is what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm just going to come out here. I'm just going to check if the gender is male. If the gender is not male, it's not going to execute anything inside this block. It's going to go on to the else part. That is the female part. So if it's not M, it's definitely it's going to be S, right? So in this case, if it's a female, I'm going to say that age should be greater than or equals to 18. Or if he's a male, I'm going to check that if the age property is greater than or equals to 21. I've shared you the recordings. I've shared every recordings that you want, right? I've shared you the recordings for HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and even the yesterday's other recordings there. So you can go down and check that. So are we good till here? I hope this conditionals make sense to everyone. Conditionals is okay. How many of you got the conditionals? Right? Chalo. Yeah. Okay. Got it? Chalo. Let's move ahead. How to run the program? It's very simple. See, I have kept something as an index.html, and inside this index.html, I'm just putting a script tag. It's a script tag. Pravan, I hope you're trying to understand this. And I'm just putting the script tag, and after the script tag, I'm passing the source of the file, that you can see that inside this folder JavaScript, I'm just saying my script tag that you will find main.js, and anything that I'm writing in main.js will get rendered in the console. Pravan. Oh, Pavan. It's Pavan, I believe. It's not Pravan, it's Pavan. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I mispronounced your name. I'm extremely sorry. Pavan, I hope this makes sense. Quickly, yes, no. Okay. All right. So let's move ahead. Shall we move ahead? People, quickly. We are wasting a lot of time. Shall we move ahead? Chalo. All right. So let's get rid of this as well. You know? And let's start with switch cases. Switch cases is very simple. It's kind of like something of, yeah, I was telling you about double equals and triple equals, right? So double equals and triple equals happens what? That even if I, let's say if I have this age, right? If I have this age 20, and if I keep this as string, it will still going to be working. It's still going to be working, right? And even if I keep this as non-string, oh, sorry. If I'm going to keep it non-string, then also it's going to work. So triple equals does nothing, right? Save. Oh, so M to I cannot write something like this now. So I can just explain it to you in this case, in this scenario only. Which is going to be this, that even if I keep this way, still going to work. But in case of if you're putting triple equals, it will check the value as well as the type of it. So if somebody asks you that the difference between double equals and triple equals is this, that double equals does not do the type check, right? But triple equals check the value as well as the type of the data. Okay, so this is the only difference between double equals and triple equals. At the end, just in case if you would be having anything, no, you do not need to install Node.js. If you want to work on JavaScript, you don't need Node.js. No, who told you that? Even at the end of the session, if you'll be that is why at the end of the session I asked you So if you have any queries, you can go around and ask me any of your queries that you'll be having. But quickly, shall we move ahead, because we won't be able to complete JavaScript in this space. Chale aage. Other people, if you're ready, we can move ahead. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of this. And let's start with switch cases and let's discuss switch cases. So switch cases is what? Switch cases is like conditionals, but a little different. It's going to either execute one of these statements, right? It's only going to execute one of these statements in case of switch cases. So if let's suppose if I have a color property and if I give this color property as blue, right? Let's say, so I can just create switches for the same, and I'm going to say switch, and the switch is going to check for color, right? And I can just come here. Oh, sorry. I can just come here and give you the values that what could be the different cases. So I can just come here and say case red. And in case of red, I'm just going to say console.log. Color is red. And then I'm just color is red. And then I'm just going to break from here. And then I'm just going to say case, let's say blue. I can just come here and say console log that the color is blue. And I'm just gonna break out from here, and I can have case, let's say green, and I can just come here and say console.log color is green, and I'm just gonna break out from here. Then at the end, I have something called as default, right? And this default is going to say console log that color is neither blue nor green nor red, right? Save. So you'll see color is blue. If you have something as green, it's going to say, hey, the color is green. And if let's suppose if you have something like red, it's going to say color is red. But if you have, let's say purple, it's going to say color is neither blue nor green or nor the red. Okay. Oh, acha. Acha. No, even for live server, you do not need Node.js. Even for live server, you do not need something like Node.js. It's still going to work. It's still going to work. He might not have like got the extension. Have you installed the extension live server? Have you installed the extension live server? As you can see, I've already installed. So it's asking me to uninstall. So have you installed it? Huh? Chalo, at the end of the session, you can share me out with the screen and I'll help you out. Don't worry about that. Okay, so switch cases. I hope the switch cases make sense. Switch cases. So whatever you want, you can just mention out here. And whatever you don't want, it's kind of like a else statement. You can just put it as default. If it's not going to find the color property, which is being mentioned out here, so it's just going to say the color is neither blue nor green nor red. If it finds out that neither of the cases is getting satisfied, it's going to come to the default and going to go around and print this. So this is how switch cases work, but we generally don't use switch cases. So this is the case. All right then. So shall we move ahead? Shall we move? Hannah? So let's move to the functions part. Most important thing in JavaScript, functions. If you don't know how to use functions, trust me, you'll not be able to do anything in JavaScript, specifically if you're talking about React, because React is completely based on functions, right? It's completely based on functions. So not DOM, even a few properties of DOM, for example, events and event emitters. So if you want to use event and event emitters, for example, if you want to perform something on the click of a button, you'll have to use functions, right? No, in case of JavaScript, you don't have something like that. So either you will have to create a form for that, you will have to create a form for that, and then you can take the input. I'll tell you how you'll do that. So, but in typical case of JavaScript, you don't have something to take input from the user or stuff like that. So you want to like take input from the user. It's completely like, yeah, right. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing. So shall we move ahead? Let's start to talk about functions. Functions in JavaScript is the most important point, like very most important point. So shall we move? Shall we move? If we can, we will do something. Okay, chalo, great. So now we'll start from very basic. Okay, let's start from very basic. The very basic functionality that you can, or the basic function that you can go around and create. We'll talk about that. Let's suppose I want to create a function. I want to create a function to add two numbers. Let's say two numbers. So in order to create a function in JavaScript, you use a keyword which is called as function. So function is a keyword in JavaScript. As you could see, it just changed the color to blue. That means that it's a reserved keyword. So if you want to create a function, you just write function, and then you give the name of the function. Let's suppose if I want to create a function called as add, right? So let's suppose if I want to create a function called as add, and here you can just specify that I'll be expecting two properties. Either it's going to be two properties, A and comma B. Okay. So this is something that you will say, or that you'll do, right? And now here you will just come here and say console log, and I'm just going to write A plus B. Very simple. And then I can just come down here and I can just call this function add, and I can just pass these values 10, 20 and save. You'll see 30, right? Or you can just write something like the sum is, and I can just put A plus B. It's just going to say the sum is 30. Cool. So this is way how you're going to provide parameters. And if let's suppose if I just call this function and I do not pass any parameters and call this save, you'll see it will give you something called as NaN. Everyone can see this because it was expecting two numbers, right? But I didn't pass any two numbers. So it will say that it's not going to be NaN. Yeah, it's exactly like that the way you do in Java. It's exactly the same thing, but in a modified way, right? So here you're creating functions and you're saying that, hey, I'll be expecting, oh, should I zoom this up? I'll do that. So if you're creating a function as add, it will be saying that I'm expecting two parameters. The A parameter, this is parameter as A, and you can see B is also a parameter that you can see out here. B is also a parameter. And what you're doing is just taking these two values, adding them up and console logging them, right? And now when I'm calling this function, either I can just do what is pass the values and save. You'll see that it will give you a number, right? But in the case, if you're working on add and you're not passing any values, let's say, and if you'll save, you'll find out that there is something called as NaN. Everyone can see this NaN? Everyone can see this NaN? What is this NaN? We'll talk about that, but I hope everyone can see this NaN, that if you're not passing something, it will start to give you something called as NaN. And this NaN shorts for, in this case, I'm just going to say throw and NaN. So this NaN basically shorts for not a number. And it's typically saying that, hey, you didn't pass a number. So how can I typically add two numbers and give you the value back? Right? So it says it's not a number. It's not a number, right? And I'll show you one interesting part in JavaScript. And let's suppose if I want to divide these two values, right? I'm just going to do A by B, right? The numerator part and the denominator part. And what do you think is going to happen if I pass something like 10, 0? What do you think is going to happen if I do something like 10, 0? What do you think is going to happen? Exception, or it could pass, give me an NaN, not a number. But if you'll save this, it will say infinity, right? This is the beauty of JavaScript. And there are a lot of tips and tricks, but at the end of when we'll be ending up with JavaScript, then I'll be telling you a few tips and tricks about JavaScript that it will divide, but it actually knows that, there is something called as divide by zero exception. And if somebody is trying to do that, I need to give the value as infinity. So that is like already written in JavaScript. So this is like pretty cool stuff, right? So I hope this function makes sense to everyone, that how are we creating these functions? How are we creating these functions? I hope this makes sense. But you should also keep in mind that I can also do something like this as well, that if I'm trying to pass something like this, it will give me NaN because I'm not trying to pass any values. but you can do something in here itself. You can pass some default values. And how to pass these default values is to just put an equals and just put the values for whatever values you want to keep as default. These default value means that if let's suppose your user is not passing any parameter, use these values, 0 values. So now if you'll save this, you'll find, oh, it's not working. This is strange. It should have worked. It definitely should have worked. Kalpesh, I just said you cannot take input from the users in this case, but I'm like little, it should have worked. Oh, this should have worked though. This is strange. Just a second. Wait a second. I think that I'm doing something wrong. No. Or rather, I'm only allowed to make one defaults or something like this. If I'm just going to say add 5, and then it's going to say, oh no, if let's suppose if I keep this plus save, it should give me 5. Wait. But it's working exactly fine for this part. But if let's suppose if I pass this 2 and I only pass one value, in this case, it should give me 7. It's giving me an AN. All right. Wait. I'll check this out. I guess you cannot set the value of like for the first parameter or something. But if I keep this as let's say is equals to 2, and if I pass 5, this should give me 7. Yeah, it's giving me 7. So I think that first value cannot have a default property. Only the second part can have a default property. But never mind. But I hope this whole idea of functions starts to make sense. That what is a function, right? So let's not talk about the default. Default, I believe it's going to confuse you. Don't worry. So I hope the functions part is pretty okay for everyone. How are we going to decide on to functions? NaN is means not a number. Not a number. How can you add two numbers when you don't have a number? So it's saying, hey, you're trying to do something which is going to result you with not a number kind of like a situation, because you are trying to add two things which is not number, right? You didn't pass me any number, so how can I give you a number back? Okay. Return type of NaN. You're saying type of NaN. So you don't have a type of NaN. If it's not a number, how can you have a type for the same? Right? So how can you have a type when you don't have a number? Yeah, so NaN shorts for not a number. Right? It's a way of representation of JavaScript. It says that, hey, it's not a number. If we pass character inside instead of number, oh, it's then gonna work. So it's gonna concatenate them. We have talked about concatenation, if you remember. The function return type. Oh, return karne ke liye you can return anything in JavaScript. You can return anything in JavaScript. Anything you can return as a JavaScript. You can just come here and you can just, rather than console logging them, you can just write return, and you could say the sum is, and what, rather than using something like this, I'm just going to use backtick, and you can just say the sum is, and you can just come here and put a dollar sign and just put the value of, let's say, a plus b. Okay. So that's what I'm saying, function return type. And when you come here, you'll say var, or let's say const answer. Const answer is equals to add 5. And you can just come here and log this console out and just say console log answer. You'll still get the same thing. How did this 52 came? This is concatenation. See, try and understand. I'm keeping BS as a string. So it's going to take this and going to concatenate this with string 2, because if you remember, it's going to take concatenation of strings, right? So we have talked about this. And in case of if you're working on JavaScript, you can return pretty much anything that you want. You can return a string, you can return a number, you can return undefined, you can return anything, and you do not need to specify. I hope that now this is clear to everyone. This function makes sense. Does this function make sense? Quickly. Does this function make sense? Okay, let's take one example for functions. Let's take one more example for function. This was a like easy thing. Let's say you want to let's say if you want to make a greeting, okay, you want to create a function for greeting. I'll explain everything in here. Let's suppose you want to create a function called as greeting, and you are expecting two values, the greeting value, right, and the name value, let's say. And by default, I'm just going to put this greeting as hello, but I'm not sure if I could do that, but let's try this out. Okay, and I'll be expecting up a name every time I'll be calling this greeting function. So I can just come here, is that return the value of the greeting, and the value of the name, right? So if I just come here and say console log greeting, and I'm just gonna pass, let's say Arun. Save, you'll see Arun undefined. Yeah, I'm definitely undefined. I hope I cannot pass this value. So I'm just gonna take one value. I'm just going to say hello Arun. Save. Sorry. So just gonna say hello Arun, right? I can pass any value and it's just gonna say the value. Let's say Sai. So it's just gonna say hello Sai, right? I hope this is making sense now. Now is this making sense? That I'm passing this value back to here and I'm returning something, and then I'm console logging the same thing, right? So it's going to be a function which is going to do the same job, right? Now, I'm just gonna keep this function the way it is. After it return, you're calling the function, because the function is only going to execute at the time when you will be calling the function. So here you can say console log greeting, and then you're passing this value as a name. So in this case, what you can do, how to access the parameter from one function into another function, please explain. How are you going to pass the value? Like, I didn't get you. How to pass the value from one function to another function, as in like, you can call the function in this case. If let's suppose if you have another function, let's say, if you're just coming out here and you're saying function greeting2, let's say greeting2, and here it will be passing out a name, and this is just going to return let's say goodbye, dollar in the name, you know. I'm just going to put these backticks, right? And in here you can just call the function, let's say greeting2, and you can just pass the name property, save, and it's just going to say you can add some code after. No, after return we cannot add anything. After return we cannot add anything, right? So no, that is not something that you can do. After return you cannot add anything, right? Return is the like last thing. Like after return you cannot do anything. So if you'll just return this value and just try to write console log by you could still see that your VS Code itself is saying that unreachable code detected. Can you see this? That if you try to write after something after return, it will say that, hey, this is not a reachable code and it's not going to execute. Because after you're returning something, your function out, that's an unreachable block of code. So you cannot do that. I hope now this is making sense, right? So in here, I've created up a greeting function. Inside this greeting function, I'm calling greeting2 function, passing the name. It's going to say goodbye. And you're returning the answer back and you are getting goodbye sign. So I hope this is making sense. Should we move ahead? Are we good till here? The functions part. Is functions clear to everyone? Quickly, other people? All right. All right. We can do the same. We can do the same thing. We can do the same thing using something called as ES6 ES6 arrow functions. And what is this ES6 arrow functions? Let's try to talk about that. ES6 arrow functions is a shorthand or a shortcut of writing functions, right? And a lot of developers now have a habit of using this because like this actually saves a lot of time. So what do? We create a variable, right? So in JavaScript, what you can do, you can create functions and you can keep these functions inside a variable. For example, I can just come here and say var, or let's say I'm just going to say const add, and I can put an equal sign, and your JavaScript says, hey, if I put these brackets and try to pass these parameter, as you could say that the name is a parameter, what is the actual use of writing this keyword called as function? Because I already know that if you're passing any parameter, that is definitely it's going to be a function. So JavaScript says that, hey, I'm just going to get rid of this keyword called as function. Rather, I'm going to introduce something called as arrow functions. And these arrow functions are going to do what? These arrow functions are just going to take the parameters. That's it. Just going to take parameters. For example, if I just pass this parameter, something like this, I can just say that I'm going to pass two parameters, that is going to be a comma b, and then this would be containing a body. And I'm just going to say console log, and I'm just going to say console log, let's say the sum is, and whatever the value is going to be $, I'm just going to say plus p, right? And if I come down here using this variable add, I can actually call the function back and I just can pass these values, save, and you'll see that the sum is 300. I hope this is making sense. So you can actually convert a function, the whole function, a group of function, into an arrow function. But the only thing that you actually need to do is the name of the function. So in this case, the name of the function would be treated as a variable. And you could see that I'm writing const and the name of the function is equals to whatever the parameters are going to be. As you could see, I have two parameters, a comma b, right? And I'm just going to put this arrow, which is going to be equals and greater than sign. And then I'm going to put a block, which will be the body of the function. So this is typically the body of the function. And the typical way of writing arrow functions is this. If you could just understand it out here, I'm just going to say const variable name, the name of the variable that you want to keep, or you can call this even function name, and you're just going to put is equals to, and you'll pass the parameter or parameters, anything that you want, and then you'll put this equals to and greater than sign, and you will give the body of the function. So this will contain the body of the function. Okay, so this is a typical way of representing the same thing, that you are going to write the variable name or the function name, then you're going to put an equal sign, then you're going to pass the parameters in the round blocks, and then you're going to put this arrow symbol, and then you'll give the body of the function. So as you can see, this is the name of the function is equals to two variables a comma b, arrow function, and the body of the function. I hope this makes sense. You can use anything. You can use let, you can use var, you can use const, you can use anything. But keep that in mind that it has different scopes. So keep scope in mind that if you're using var, so other people can actually, or other functions can actually go around and use the code. So it has a security breach that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so I need to explain this once. Okay, let's take this greeting function and let's try to convert this greeting function into an arrow function. Let's do that. Okay. So let's say what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say const and I'm just going to call this new greet. Now see, the name of the function here is greeting. See, everybody now just pay attention. Everybody is here. Should I explain? Should I start to explain? Okay. Now see, I'm creating a new function and the name of the function is new greet, right? As I had the name as greeting, so I would have put something like, I'm just going to comment this out for a little second. Hai. So I'm just going to target this function and I'm just going to create this function, a new function, and I'm going to keep the name of the function as that. So whatever the name of the function is going to be, I'm going to create the variable of the same name, first of all. So I'm just going to say const, the name of the function. That is why I've written const, the name of the function that you want to keep. And then you'll put an equal sign, equals to. And now whatever the parameter that you had, you are going to put this parameter as the parameter that you had. So in this case, I'll have a parameter of name. This is going to be my parameter, as you could see, right? Parameter is going to be the name. Then I'm going to put the arrow symbol, and then I'm going to give the body of the method or the function. So this is my parameter. This is the parameter name, and whatever I had this. So I'm just going to copy this out, and I'm just going to put this out here. I'm just going to, again, I'm just going to say answer is equals to greeting to of name, and then I'm just going to console log the name, console log the answer, right? Just gonna cut this, just gonna paste it out here, save, and you'll still will see goodbye sign, right? Can you see that? Can you see that? It's still going to give you goodbye sign. Not working? Where is it not working? No, so this is the output, na? This output is on line number 54. So yeah, line number 54 is working. Is it not working on your system? Guys, I just hope this is making sense to everybody. Is it making sense? What we have done? We have converted a normal function into a arrow function, right? A ES6 arrow function. So how do you do that? It's very simple. The name of the function, Abhi, forget this undefined. This undefined is coming because of this. Sorry, this. So Abhi, forget that up. It's going to say the name is deprecated for a little second because we have already used this name up there some. So it's just going to give you undefined for a little second. Don't worry about that. So what we have done, we have converted the name of the function into a variable, and then we are putting an equal sign, and then we put these round brackets, and inside these round brackets we mention any parameters that we have for the function. Then we put a arrow sign, and then we give them the body of the function, that whatever the body is going to be. And then we can go around and call this function by using this variable. Make sense? Are we good till here? Guys, are we good till here? Sure? Are you sure? Sure. Nice. All right. So this completes out with the basics of JavaScript. You know a little bit of JavaScript, that is going to be more than sufficient for us to actually go around and do DOM. So if you're ready, we can actually go around and do something with DOM. Shall we? Shall we? Anna? So in order to explain you DOM, I have something for you, which is this file which I've created for you people. Classes, object-oriented programming, it's a little out of the scope. The reason is that you'll not be needing anything, because if you might be working on TypeScript, I would have taught you classes. But object-oriented programming to be taught in JavaScript, it's going to take a lot of time, because a lot of people have no idea about what object-oriented programming as a concept is, right? So teaching classes, modules in case of JavaScript, it will not do justice to this course. The reason is just that if you want to use React, you do not need classes, because in React it's function based components. when we'll be doing these, I'll be explaining you each and everything, but classes is like completely different out of the course situation out here right now. We'll be doing Ajax. We'll definitely would be doing Ajax, है ना? So in the on Saturday most probably we'll be doing Ajax. है ना? हाँ, so in Ajax itself, I'm going to tell you about XML, I'm going to tell you about JSON, I'm going to tell you about APIs, I'm going to tell you about how to integrate a third-party API into your application, right? So in the 4th class, we'll be doing everything. JSX, on the first day of React, I'll be teaching you JSX. So don't worry about that. So should we start with DOM? We are going to start on to the most important, like you cannot do anything if you don't. Somebody please pass him, please pass Ajay with the link, please, if somebody can. है ना? So I have this, I prepared this HTML for you people so that I can go ahead and do something. So I'm just going to copy this out. And I'm just going to put that in my HTML. But I would explain you DOM. And I'm just going to get rid of this and I'm just going to paste this out here. I'm just going to save this up. So all right. So let's quickly first just have a look on. So everybody's ready. Let's discuss on the HTML part first and then we'll move ahead, shall we? Let's discuss onto the HTML part. That what have I done? I've definitely have used Bootstrap on this. Okay. So first of all, I've used Bootstrap. So as you can see, I'm using Bootstrap 4 out here. So this is Bootstrap 4 that I've used. I believe I taught you Bootstrap 3, I believe, है ना? I've told you Bootstrap 3, है ना? But I've used Bootstrap 4 and I've mentioned the link of the sitting out here. And the title that I've given out here is yeah, it's one and the same thing. Like everything remains same, right? The hardly would be changed as of like 5 to 7%. You can go around and look at the changes. 20% is like too much. No, not even 20%. Okay. And then this is the head part. And then in the body, I have this main header. So which is this item listener, and I've given the class as BG success. The text is going to be white and stuff like this. So I've created up this container, and inside this container, what I've done is created up this H1, which is this item listener that you are seeing out here, right? And then rather what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get rid of this for a little second, or rather I'm just going to keep it here. So I've created up this H1, which is going to say item listener. And I've also created up a span, which has 1, 2, 3 written out there. But this 1, 2, 3 is not getting displayed just because of this styling purposes. But as of now, I'm just going to go around and delete that because I've written that in order to explain you something in DOM, right? So this was the header part. After this, I'm creating up this main body. So I can just come here. I can just say add items, which you're going to see out here. Then I've created up this form inline. That is why you're seeing this input box and the button side by side, right? So this is the text type input. And I've created up the submit type button and this button dark. So in button dark, you'll get this black color button and the value is submit, as you can see out there. And after this, I've completed out with the form. And after this form, I've created few little list items. So I could say items, which is the H2 that you are seeing out here. And this is the list group. We have talked about list group in very detail. And these are all list group items, right? No, I have not used any CSS. I'm only working on Bootstrap. So you could see out here item 1, item 2, item 3, and so on and so forth. And at the end, I have created up this class, this script tag, which is having the sources dom.js, which I'll go around and create right now in my application. So I'm just going to call this dom.js. So anything I'll be writing, it will get rendered from this index HTML, which is going to say that this is going to be dom.js. Compulsory to learn Bootstrap? Not exactly. It will increase your productivity of the development time. That's it. But HTML and CSS is really, really important. That is something that you'll have to do. That is something that you'll have to do. No, it's Bootstrap 4. It's Bootstrap 4. Of course, if you just learn Bootstrap, that is also not going to give you, but you'll have to learn CSS first. So it's all inbuilt styling kind of like a thing. Yeah. There. So shall we move ahead? Shall we start with DOM? Shall we start with DOM? If you're ready, then I'm ready. So just to test this, I'm just going to write console.log. And I'm just going to say console log DOM. Let's say, save. And if I actually go around and inspect this page, I should see DOM out there. Pretty cool, right? So I can see DOM. That means the file is working correctly. Cool. Let's move ahead then. So before I actually go around and start with DOM, Twinkle, abhi nahi baat karte hain iske baare mein, because we are starting on to a very important thing. And I don't think this PB4 and MP3 is going to be so much important, which is not as important as DOM. Okay. So we'll talk about this at the end of the session. Pehle focus out the major part. What would be the major part? Focus on that. Okay. Let's go to OneNote. And before I actually go around and teach you about something on DOM, you actually need to understand a few things about DOM. Okay. DOM itself is a very important concept. A very important concept. When you talk about DOM, DOM is pretty much everything that you're doing on the HTML. DOM is like everything. Okay. Let's talk about DOM. Sorry. Let's talk about DOM. Let's talk about. एक तो ये एप्लीकेशन इतना बेकार है, पूछो नहीं. It's very buggy application. I don't know what does Microsoft do in their offices. I don't know. Like their services are the worst. Anyways, coming back. Even I have met a lot of developers. I'm not going to like say very bad things about them. They are working, but trust me, their employees do not have professionalism. Second, like let's not talk about it. They're definitely sleeping on lockdown. That is something that I can tell you. And actually, if you'll go on to any fan company, the Microsoft developers have the least development time. Like as in like, I have no idea when did they launch Windows 10, and after that, no update, nothing. They don't like, they have least, like I don't know what they even do in their offices. Like everything is so established. I don't know what their employees do. Right? I have no idea. They are like, yeah, those employees are like enjoying their life like to the fullest. Anyways, coming back. So we are going to start with DOM. Yeah, iOS is we'll talk about that in the session. Yeah. So let's start with DOM. So what basically DOM shorts for? Basically DOM shorts for something called as document object model, and it's a model, right? It's a model that you'll actually will have to try and understand what this model is all about. First of all, you'll have to understand what document is, right? Now, if I tell you about the HTML part, so if let's suppose if I'm writing HTML, and inside this HTML, I have few different things. For example, I have head, and inside this head, I write a lot of meta tags. And then I also mention few of the links out here, if you remember. And then I end with this head. And then what do? I just mention the body. And let's say inside the body, I'm mentioning H1. And let's say I'm going to mention UL. And inside this, I'm going to put few of the list items. And then I'm going to end UL. And then I'm going to end H1 here itself. And then I'm going to end the body. And then I'm going to end the HTML. The HTML looks something like this, right? Now, if you remember, when I was teaching you HTML, I typically told you that, I don't know if you remember, but you can go back and watch those videos. I told you that every HTML that you have, every HTML has a tree-like structure. Do you remember this? Do you remember this? And I told you when we'll be starting up with DOM, I'll come back to this and I'll be explaining you everything. This is what DOMs comes into picture. I'm saying every HTML code that you're writing, every HTML code is going to be a tree-like structure, every HTML, which is going to look like a parent, a child, and a stuff like this. So what happens that if you're talking about DOM says that, hey, because every HTML is a tree-like structure, so what's going to happen? I'm just going to put something as a HTML as a parent, the most important parent. And inside this, I'm going to make its children, whatever few different childrens that I'd be having, I'm going to create them. For example, inside this HTML, I have two things. First, head, and the second thing is the body. So I can say that HTML will have two children, which is going to be the head child and the body child. Right? Because inside HTML, what I have is the head and the body. Right? Right? So in this HTML, I have two children of HTML. One is going to be the head child, the another one is going to be the body child. Now next, if I talk about this head itself contains two children inside it, which is going to be, one is going to be the meta and the another one is going to be the link. Same is the case with body as well. Body has two children. One is going to be the H1, the second one is going to be the UL. So body has two children. Let's say I also have a paragraph out here, let's say, right? So it will have three children. One is going to be the parent, the paragraph tag, the H1 tag, and the UL tag. And inside this UL, you can see that I have two other children, which is going to be list element 1 and the list element 2. So can you see the tree-like structure out here? Can you see the tree-like structure? This structure, this model is called as DOM. This is called as DOM. That is why we call this document object model. And you'll be very surprised that even if you talk about HTML, even if you talk about head, even if you talk about body, even if you talk about meta, link, paragraph, heading, UL, LI, everything in HTML is an object. Do you remember the object that we were covering out in yesterday's session when we were discussing on to JavaScript? Do you remember that? That is why I was saying that all of these things are going to eventually start to fall into place and will start to make a clear picture. Because that is why it says that if you remember that person object that we created, it's exactly like the same thing, that it would be an object and this whole tree-like structure is going to be an object in itself. And what has DOM done? DOM said that even on the HTML, I'll have a bigger parent and this bigger parent is going to be called as document. And this document is going to contain each and everything that your web page is going to contain, each and everything. It's going to be the whole document. It's going to be the whole page, right? Document means the whole page. That is why it's called as DOM. Document, that means the document that we are talking about, the whole page. And inside that whole page, every child and every parent will be treated as an object. And it's kind of like a tree-like model that we have just made. So that is why it's called as document object model. I hope this scenario makes sense to everybody, that what are we talking about? Does this make sense to everyone? That what is document object model and what is DOM? So DOM is basically like that even if you have any HTML kind of like a selection, this HTML will be rendered as a tree-like structure and every parent and every children or every child will be treated as an object, right? So let's see this DOM into like action. Let's go around and do that. Hannah. So let's see this DOM in action. Let's try to figure out how this DOM is going to help you out and doing a lot of stuff with the same. So where should I start with? So let's say I'll start with, so don't get scared. I'll do everything. I'll be doing styling. I'll be doing everything. Don't worry about that. So I am going to tell you how to examine the examine the DOM. I'm going to tell you that. So first of all, let's go around and examine the DOM. Let's see DOM in action first, right? So are you ready? Don't get scared. It's going to look a lot heavy, but trust me, it's not heavy. If you'll understand everything and your concentration is going to be here till the time I'll be teaching you DOM, trust me, it's going to be very easy. So are you ready? Are you ready? I'm going to show you the whole structure of the DOM. Okay. So let's go there and let's talk about console.dir. Let's do console.dir. Dir means directory. And we are going to check the whole directory of the document. As I just told you, if you remember what document is, the document is the parent of everybody. Even it's the parent of the whole document or the whole page. So what we are going to do, we are going to go around and inspect this whole page, and we'll try to find out that how the directory of the DOM has been put out there. So if you'll save this, you'll see a document collection being passed us to us. Just have a look on this document collection. Everyone can see this. Let's go around and explore this for a little second. Okay. So this is the object, and this object contains a lot of things, right? For example, what the URL is. So you can see that the URL resonates with the URL that I have out here. 127.0.0.15500 JavaScript /index.html. So it's exactly the same thing, right? After that, you can see that you have something called as all, which contains HTML, head, meta, link, title, body, and then the main header, its class, the next div, and the H1. Can you see this? So if I'll go around and open this up, you'll try to find out that everything inside the DOM is this. So you can see that this is the whole HTML. So if I hover over this, it will give me the highlighted version, right? And this is the link part. This is the title that I have. This is the whole body. Inside this body, I have this main header. Then I have this container. Then I have this header title. Then I have this header container. Then I have this card. Then I have this title. Then I have this inline whole form. Then I have the form controller. Then I have the button. Then I have the title called as item. And then I have the whole list group item, and then I have multiple other group items inside it. Can you see this? Can you see this? So you could see that the document is containing everything that you want, everything, right? But how? That inside this document, you have something called as all, which is basically a HTML collection. HTML collection is a little different than an array, but it works exactly like that of array, but you cannot perform little operations on HTML collections. First, you'll have to convert it into an array and then do the operations. But it works exactly like this, and you could see that it has indices from 0 to whatever, how the lengthy document you would be having. And you can see out here, and even you can go inside this and you can see its own children, right? It will have few properties. You can have what the children are and who's the parent, and you can do a lot of stuff. We'll talk about that in a little second. But I hope this makes sense to everybody, that what are we looking at, right? It has a lot of other properties as well. So like on blur, what's going to happen when all blur is going to happen, or what's going to happen when something happens and stuff like that. It's a huge document that even if I just talk about DOM, I can spend a whole month over DOM. So DOM is such huge, right? It's very huge. Yeah, we have events. We have a lot of different things out here. So I hope the picture of the DOM is clear to everybody. I hope the picture of the DOM is clear. That it's a tree-like structure, and this tree-like structure contains everything. And what is this contained inside? You have this document. Inside this document, you have an array called as all, and inside this all, you have all of these things. So I can go around and have a look on a lot of different things. I can just come here and say console log. I can just come here and say document.domain. It will actually give me the domain that I have, which is going to be document. So if I'll save this, this will give me the name of the local host that I have. I can actually go around and access my own URL. That is something that I can do. So I can just come here and say document.url. Save. You can see that I'll get my whole URL, right? You can go around and access different properties as well. I can just come here and say console.log document.title. Document.title. Save, and you'll get the title, that is item listener, right? The item listener is the title. And then you can also do something like console log. You can actually check the doc type as well if you want. So you can just come here and say document.doctype. So it will just say doc type HTML, which is telling you that this is a HTML5 document, right? You can come here and just be specified like console log document dot body, save, and you'll get everything inside what is inside body. So you can get everything which is inside the body, the header, the another div that you have, the script tag. You can get pretty much everything inside the body. Then the same thing, you can come here and say document.head as well. Document.head. So if you'll save this will give you the head section of the body of the document. As you can see out there, there's a lot of meta tag. Then you have Bootstrap 4, which you have just mentioned out here is the title, right? So you can go around and access pretty much anything, right? Then the most important point, I'm just gonna go around and like comment this out, right? Save. And let's go around and access these things, right? Yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that. Yeah, you can even change the source of this script tag as well, like dynamically, right? So on the click of the button, you can actually change everything. Yeah, you can do that. You can change the value of the source. So let's say I want to go around and have a look on out here, which is this all. And let's say I want to have a look on the 10th value, which is the header. So if I just come here, I can go around and access. I've told you how you're going to go around and access this. So first of all, I'm going to go onto this DOM because it's an object. So we are going to target it just like an object. So I'm just going to come here and say console.log. I'm going to go inside the document. And inside this document, I have a property called as all. So I'm going to go inside that. So I'm just going to say all. But all is typically an array. So I'll have to go around and have a look on the 10th value of the thing. So if I'll save this, you'll see I'll get this header back, which is this header. Can you see this? Yeah, we can create the whole HTML just by using JavaScript. That's what I said. You don't even need to write CSS and HTML. You can do pretty much everything using JavaScript. JavaScript is so powerful, right? Yeah, with the dot notation, we have functions like create element. So you can just go around and create elements, and you can put children inside, and you can go around and render that out. So I hope this is making sense to everybody. That what are we doing? I hope this makes sense to everyone. That what have I done in document.all10? Are we good till here? That what have I done in document.all10? So if somebody will ask you that why have you written this document.all10, you'll be able to answer. How many of you didn't get this document.all10? Be honest, because if you'll not understand this, I don't think that, no, you didn't, right? So ask. Why are you not asking? Ask. So if you'll have a look on this document, see, that is why I've opened this document. If you'll go inside this document is an object, right? This document is an object. So if you'll go inside this document, you'll find something called as all. Can you see this? Can you see this all? And this all is containing everything inside it in 0 to later down till anywhere. So it's an array. It's an array, right? So how do we do that? We have talked about this, that how we're going to go around and access this. I'm saying, hey, inside this document, I have something called as all. And from this all, I want to go to index number 10, which is this header title. Can you see this? So inside document, we are coming to all. And from all, we are going to this number 10, the index number 10, which is this H1 header title. So if I actually go around and save this, you'll see that header title will now be console log. Can you see this? Can you see this? Right? So you can actually go around and grab onto different properties that you want. So that is something that we are going to do. All right. So chalo, let's move ahead then. And let's talk about something called as event select. Oh, sorry. What do you call this as? We can go inside everything. We can go inside anything and everything. We can go inside anything. That's what we'll be dealing up with. We'll be grabbing onto different identifiers, right? So we will catch elements, or I'm just gonna write catching elements using identifiers as ID, class, and tag. So shall we do this? Shall we do this? What's the time? Oh, it's 6:30 already. Let's do one thing, that from tomorrow onwards, let's go around and do all of these things. Shall we? Huh? Because let's not overload for the day. So tomorrow we'll be, so tomorrow we'll be just dealing on to with DOM and DOM things, and we'll just be doing all of these different tasks. All right, so if you have any queries related to anything, ask your queries. And if you don't, then we'll end up with the session. Yeah, sure. It's not console.div. It's called as console.dir. And this console.dir means to show the directory of the document. So dir basically shorts for directory. Inside the document you're saying, I just went inside this document. You can go anywhere inside this. Anywhere inside this. You can go anywhere that you want. Get element by ID, I will teach you tomorrow. Get element by ID, class name, tag name, query selector. We'll do that tomorrow. For the last minute of the session. So you can actually, Neha, you can go around and have a look on the video. That will give you a clarity on the things, right? And just in case if you'd be having anything to ask. Oh yeah, one more thing. I'm going to go and share you out with the handles because I see a lot of problems being displayed. So I'm just gonna write it out here. So I'm mentioning both. If you wanna go around and use. So if you're talking about Instagram, you can find it up on here. And I believe the same is for Discord. It's going to be the same, right? You can do that, Preeti. You can do that. Yeah, so somebody was, okay, so I mentioned my Instagram and my Discord. So wherever you feel like tagging along, or if you want to ask anything as a doubt, you can go around and do that. All right. So somebody was asking me about ++i and I++. So there are different ways of understanding the both things. And even the same goes for I minus minus and minus minus I. It's one and the same thing, but yeah, I know. I know. So you can actually understand this like pretty easy. Let's suppose if I'm writing for loop, so if I just write for int I is equals to 0, I less than, let's say, 5 and I plus plus. And if I just come here and if I try to say print, let's say print I, and that's it. Okay. That is like out of the scope. Like what you are asking is a legit question, but this is going to take a lot of time. So I'm not sure if the time would be right to actually go around and tell you about all of these things. So it's going to take a lot of time. Yeah. So what happens out here when you're doing something, compiler basically takes a track record of everything that you're doing. So initially the value is going to be 0. And then it's also going to maintain another value for the same. So what's going to happen? If you're just going to come here, it will do one. It's going to keep the value of I until everything is not done, right? And it's going to say print I, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess, yeah. Yeah. That's the one, I guess. It would have a Schrodinger smiley, kind of like a DP or kind of like a thing. It would be something like this, I guess. Yeah. That's mine. Anyway, so we were talking about this, right? So if let's suppose if you're talking about I, in this case, the I is going to be 0 and I less than 5 I plus plus. So in this case, I'm doing print I, right? So what would happen? First of all, the printing process is going to execute, right? The printing process is going to execute. And once this printing process is done, what would happen? Then the increment is going to happen. For example, if I'm just going to write print I, so first it's going to print I, and then the updation is going to be done that it needs to do I plus plus, which is going to be I is equals to 1. Then again, the same process, 2 would be printed. and the value would be updated to 2, and then the other process would be done, that I need to go out here and I'll have to do 3, and then I'll have to increment the process and stuff like this. But in case of plus plus I, what do you do? In case of plus plus I, what happens is that you do not mention, or you do not go and you do not print the value first, rather you increment the value first. So in this case, what's going to happen, it's going to take this value and the chart would be maintained. The initial value is going to be here. This is going to be the initial value, and this would be the incremented value. So what would happen if I write the same thing, which is going to be I starting from 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, sorry, I plus plus, plus plus I. So if this is plus plus I, so what would happen? The initial value is 0. So what would happen? Before I actually go ahead and print the value of I, I'm going to do is I'm going to increment this value, and I'm going to print the value of the initial value, which is going to be I0, just going to print 0 first, but the value is already incremented. So once this loop is going to execute again, it's going to look for the incremented value, which is going to be I1. So it's just directly going to increment the value first. So this I would now be 1, and the incremented value is going to be 2, right? So it would be like 1, and then same I incremented value. First you will go around and increment this, and then you will change the value, and then you will print the value. Now here, first you will increment the value, so I will be 4, and then you're going to print the value. I hope plus plus I and I plus plus make sense. So it's a way how you're going to control your compiler, then what to do first and what to do next, right? So in case of I plus plus, first the printing process is going to be done, then the incrementing process is going to be done. But in case of plus plus I, first the incrementing is going to be done, and then the printing process is going to be done. So this is a huge difference between I plus plus and plus plus I, and same goes for I minus minus and minus minus I, right? So this is sometimes asked in the interviews as well, that what is the difference between all of these things. I hope this makes sense to everyone. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions that you have? Any other questions? Do we have any other questions? Once again, didn't get you. Once again, what? Oh, should I explain it to you once more? Should I explain once more? How to run live server in VS Code. Okay, before I actually answer that question on live server, let's go around and test this out once more. You know, I'm just gonna remove everything. And let's try and understand this. Plus plus I वाला part, चलो बता देता हूँ. In case of plus plus I, okay, not programs, definitely not programs, but websites, definitely yes, not programs. Chalo, let's talk about that now. So everybody's paying attention. Everyone's here. So we are discussing on two different things. One is I plus plus, and the another one is plus plus I. Yeah, these are two different things. I plus plus and plus plus I. For that, I'm going to write a code. So in this code, don't mention the syntax. I'm just going to say for I is equals to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. So when you're doing I plus plus, you need to follow on to two things. First, the execution is going to happen. Then the increment is going to happen. The order is this: first execution, next increment. So if you'll have to tabulate this, if I tabulate the values, in the tabulation of case of I plus plus, what happens is that if I'm writing this and if I just want to print, let's say, the I value, let's say, I want to print the value of I. So first, what's going to happen? Initially, the value of I would be 0. And the increment is not going to happen until the execution is not done. So I is still going to remain same because there is no increment at this point. Because what we have said that first execute this block and then increment the value, because the execution works this way. So I said go and print the value first and then increment the value of I, right? So what would happen? First, I'm going to print the value as 0. And now because the execution is done, when I'll come back to the code, I'll have to increment the value. So initially the value was 0, but now the value is going to be 1. And again, I'm not going to increment as of now. The value of I is still going to remain 1. But again, I'm going to print the value first, which is going to be 1. And then I'm going to increment the value as 2. Now it will be showing me 2. I hope the I++ wala scene is clear to everyone, that how the I++ is going on. I++ is saying, hey, go and do the execution first, then come back and do the increment. I hope this is making sense. Guys. Yeah. Are we good? Okay. Now let's come to the I++ I wala concept. So if I write the code is going to go along with I is going to start from 0. I is going to be less than 5. And then I'm going to do ++ I. And here I'm going to write print I. Right? So in this case, it's going to say that, hey, increment first and then go and execute something. So in this case, what happens is that if you'll have a look on the table is going to be generated in a lot different way. Right? I'm going to write the printing out here and then look at the table. So initially, what would be the initial value? The initial value was 0. But it said that, hey, before you actually go inside this block, change the value, increment the value. So this is the increment part. What would it do? It would increment the value, but it will not reflect the increment for whatever increment that you're doing. Because you are writing print I. So I'm not going to write 1 first. I'm going to write 0 only. I'm going to write 0 only. But the increment in the backend has already been done and it's already been saved. I hope this is making sense. Though it will print the value as 0 only because the initial value is 0, but the increment has already been done at the backend and you don't know about it. That's the difference between ++ I and I++. I++ is saying first I'll do the job and then I'll think ki karna kaise hai, at what time will I do the increment. But in case of ++ I, it's not the case. It's going saying, hey, you are only going to go and do the job until and unless you have done the increment. First, do the increment and then go and do the execution. So increment is done. The increment is done, but in this case, the increment was not done. Yeah, exactly. Increment and then use. So the initial value was 0, so it's going to print 0. But once it will go back, it does not need to think about incremented. It's just going to increment this value because initially the value is going to be 1. For the next iteration, the value is going to be 1. It's going to go around and print this. But before that, it's going to go around and increment the value first. I hope now this is making sense. But in this case, if you'll have a look on I++, the value was not incremented as of now. So I hope both the idea is clear to everyone that what is the difference between I++ and ++I. Everyone, Twinkle, Suman, other people, we good? Chalo. Anything else that you want to ask? If you want to ask anything, just put that out in the chat section or just give me a big yes, we'll end up with the session quickly. Array, how to run live server on VS Code? It's quite simple. You don't have to do anything. All right, let's go. Oh, not here. Let's go to VS Code and just come to this extensions part. Search for live server and just click on this live server and make sure that it's installed. Array, it's the same. Preeti, I'll tell you. Don't worry. Just one second. So for the people who are talking about live server in VS Code, are you done installing this? Are you done installing? Is the installation done for the live server? Now, what you need to do, you'll need to come back to the file directory and check for any of the HTML pages that you would be having. Let's suppose if I have this HTML page, which is index.html, if I right click on this, this will give you an option to open with live server. Can you see this? If the installation is done, restart the application, come to any of the index.html or any of the extensions or any of the files which has .html extension, right click on it, and it will give you an option to open with the live server. And just click on this and enjoy the live server. That's it. So we good? How are we gonna do that? Right? Chalo, nice. Any other questions that we have quickly? Yeah, so Preeti was asking how you're gonna write JavaScript in Notepad. So I definitely don't have Notepad for me. कल्पेश ये बाद में पूछ लेना Facebook पे. So Notepad. So I don't have Notepad. So how should I tell you that? So everything that you're writing inside this index.html is going to write exactly the same thing. Whatever the name of this is going to be, you're talking about Notepad, right? Yeah, Notepad. So it's going to be the same thing. You do not need to change anything for that matter. You don't need to change anything. Whatever I'm writing, just write it exactly the same way, it will work. There would be no obligations or no problem. You can write exactly the same thing. GitHub, yeah, I'll just update the GitHub. I'll just update the GitHub. Just 1 second. Huh? So I'm just gonna write how many files are there? A lot of files. I'm just gonna add all and git commit. I'm just gonna write JavaScript. Oh, it didn't happen. I just write git add, so it should be git add. Sorry. And I'm just gonna push everything out. So if you'll go to the GitHub, you can just go around and clone and download the application or stuff like that. It would just like work exactly the same. So if I go to the repositories, here I'll find foundational course FED. You'll get the JavaScript which we have done today, है ना? So DOM मिल जाएगा आपको. DOM आज हम लोगों ने बहुत ही छोटा सा किया है. But you'll get this main. Even what I'll do here in the main.js wala file, I'll do all the I'll put everything of the cheat sheet. So I'll give you the cheat sheet. So you can go around and clone that if you want. And if you'll clone this, I'll get it out here. You can just go around and go to this code either, and you can just download the zip file, or you can just write git clone. So if you'll have you can just write git repo clone, just copy this, paste it on your terminal. This should work. Okay, so you can go around and download that. So are we good for the day? Okay, chalo. So that was all for the day, and we'll end up with the session. And thank you so much for joining. Any link for practices, you can DM me up. I'll give you so many, right? So that was all for the day. Thank you so much for joining. We'll meet tomorrow. And if you'd be having any difficulties, you can DM me up. All right. Chalo. Bye-bye. Take care. Good night.